An update on the Coldplay concert affair. This is Andy Byron, the CEO of the data company, astronomer, and Kristen Cabot, the chief people officer of the same company. Yep, they're both married. Not to each other, but it gets worse.
Okay, that's enough. I've seen enough of these videos from the internet, and I've just got a couple things to offer from a priest point of view who has to deal with the nature of sin and people's broken humanity. First of all, this is a perfect example of guilt versus shame. You know, guilt and shame are connected, but they are slightly different. They're connected in that they know that people do things wrong, but the guilt is actually something that you can expose to the light of Christ, rather than shame. It's just something that you try to hide from, and you see that trying to happen here. But it really is an examination of our society today. Sin is very prevalent, and it's almost celebrated in our culture. Infidelity is almost promoted, and therefore this is simply a result of not only a broken human nature, but a world gone awry and a lack of morality. But here's another perspective, and it has to deal with these two. You see, this was a very embarrassing moment for them, and while I don't condone any of this and acknowledge the hurt that they caused their own spouses and their children, as well as their own personal careers, we also have to acknowledge that these are still people, and in the end of the day, we're all human and we all fall. So while we have to acknowledge the sin, we also have to acknowledge a pastoral care for these folks. And so here's a few spiritual thoughts. First and foremost, if you took pleasure in this, I'm sorry, but it's probably not the best thing for us to do, is to point fingers at them, because he who is without sin can cast the first stone. And we also have to recognize that, yeah, you can bounce back from some of this, because every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. But more importantly, in our relationship with Jesus Christ, we have to also understand that before we sin, the devil always excuses, and Jesus always accuses. After the sin, if we're humble enough, the devil will always accuse, and Jesus will always excuse and pardon us. And so I'm just hoping that all of those involved will experience a reconciliation with God and one another.